What's going on, guys? My name is Arrow, and in today's video we are talking about a build that almost was. So let's talk about first what the build was supposed to do. The idea here was to use Wild Strike, just the cold version, in order to do cold damage with our projectiles, and then have the projectiles return with Vengeance Cascade, ideally about doubling your damage. Now, the way that Wild Strike usually works is similar to Frostblades and Lightning Strike, where when you hit with the strike portion, the projectiles that fly out can't hit the target as well. But on return, those projectiles can hit the target. Wild Strike can get some pretty good damage on its projectiles. But unfortunately, we discovered that unlike Lightning Strike and Frostblades, for some reason, which may be obvious to others but was not obvious to me, Wild Strike does not function the same way. When the projectile is created by Wild Strike, it cannot hit the target no matter what happens. So what ended up happening was I discovered this because this build feels amazing to map with until you hit a single rare monster with no other monsters around. What happens is we do so much damage with our projectiles and so little with the hit that if we can't hit with the projectiles, it feels like we have zero damage. But when we're hitting with projectiles, we're one-shotting Legion bosses. So it was a little bit confusing at first why my damage was so bad sometimes and not others, but the reality was if I was able to hit two targets with both of my strikes, they could hit each other with projectiles, and the hits weren't doing damage, but the projectiles were. So let me jump into a map and kind of showcase why it feels so good and sometimes so bad. So the projectiles are everywhere. They feel amazing. And it took me actually a little while to realize how bad this was, because I didn't get this set up until the end game. It took me a little while to realize how bad the single target would actually be. Let me hopefully find a Chayula boss in here and give me an opportunity to showcase Chew. But of course now it's just going to look really good while I play it, even though the build is absolutely dead on arrival, unless we can figure out another way to make this work, which is possible. And that's part of the reason I'm making this video. I'm kind of hoping that maybe people will see the idea here and go, oh, I know how to fix that. Old Hydrosphere would have fixed this problem. We don't have access to Old Hydrosphere anymore, where you can effectively use it as a secondary tool to create more projectiles for Wild Strike. Let's just go to the boss. But yeah, as you can see, I was so excited to get this build working because the damage really is fun for clear. But then on single target, it looks like this. Projectiles simply do not hit on return or at all. So if there's multiple monsters around, you're creating tons of projectiles and you are deleting everything. I'm talking like 15 or so million damage with the scuff setup that I have right now. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work. So the idea was basically a frenzy charge stacking raider where we get lots of attack speed, lots of movement speed. We get lots of projectile speed from different sources. This is not a very good medium cluster. But things like eye to eye, lots of damage. We take projectile stuff where we can. We end up getting a bunch of block, and the block feels pretty nice on top of our evasion. So we have 100% chance to suppress spell damage, and then we have a 63% chance to block. So if we get our evade chance up to the 90s, on top of that having 63 block, that feels really nice for dealing with attacks. And then, because those roll separately. If you don't evade, you can then block. 100% spell suppression, and this build was going to be pretty awesome. I was really excited, but the reality is current iteration is dead on arrival. Unfortunately, we reached out to our good friend Bex, and she did confirm that the mechanic is intended for Wild Strike. I'm not sure why it works for Lightning Strike and Frostblades, but not Wild Strike. But the unfortunate reality is it doesn't work as is. So if you have any ideas on how I can make this build better, how I can fix it, I'm not going to take it apart just yet. I'm going to theory craft a little bit more. But I wanted to put this video out there and let you guys know what I was working on. We have since moved on to a very crazy build that includes Hydrosphere, Winter Orb, and Lightning Warp. So come over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0___, and check out the latest concoction. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope I prevented you from possibly making a build like this in the future, so you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. If you want to support me, you can like this video and comment down below and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support me financially, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Thank you all so much, and as always, take care.